Colonel Albert Ashby is a senior material leader for the Acquisition Delta Strategic SATCOM Division, Space Systems Command, Los Angeles Air Force, SATCOM Satellite Command. At this time, I would like to introduce Colonel Albert Ashby. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, distinguished guests, Congresswoman Waters. Thank you for attending today's ceremony. You know, when I showed up today, I thought about what I was going to say. I wrote a couple of words down, and I'm hoping that every single one of you listens to the words that I have to say as to why we have a Space Force. As I looked up here on stage, I saw one flag missing. Kind of hurt my feelings, but we'll make sure that we have a flag for next year's events. The United States Space Force is a real thing. So, with that, John F. Kennedy said, "Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty." Today's a day of honor and remembrance. It is a day to honor all those who selflessly swore to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to all those who gave all to protect our shared fundamental values of equality, freedom, prosperity, and the pursuit of happiness. We will never forget. Thank you to the city of Gardena and the Veterans of Foreign Wars post 3261 and post 1961, the Nisei post. It is my sincere honor and privilege to speak at the 54th annual Veterans Day service. I would also like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Robert Hernandez, whom I work with at Space Systems Command, who helped coordinate the speaking engagement. Most importantly, I want to recognize all of the veterans in attendance today. A special shout out goes to my wife, Michelle, who honorably served in the United States Air Force. Thank you for your sacrifice and service to the greatest nation on the face of this planet. I'm truly honored to be here today to share this moment with you. Now, I'm going to double down on what you heard Congresswoman Waters say this morning about the history of Veterans Day. Veterans Day is a time to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. There's a unique history and evolution behind the federal holiday we know as Veterans Day. As you heard earlier, President Woodrow Wilson originated this holiday on the 11th of November, 1919. It was known as Armistice Day, to recognize the first anniversary of the end of World War I. It was not until May of 1938 when an act was passed making 11 November in each year a legal holiday to honor the veterans of the First World War. Shortly after the conclusion of World War II, the 1938 Act was amended by striking out the word armistice and replacing it with veterans, which became public law on June 1st, 1954. President Eisenhower wanted to ensure proper and widespread observance of this anniversary for all veterans and not just the veterans of World War I. However, in 1968, Congress signed the Uniformed Holiday Bill, which changed that date of Veterans Day to the fourth Monday in October. However, there was much confusion with the change, and the majority of citizens wanted to celebrate Veterans Day on its original date. So President Gerald Ford signed Public Law 94 to Act 97 and returned the annual observance to its original date on the 11th of November. Now, the evolution of this federal holiday is analogous to how warfare and military capabilities have evolved over the past century. The introduction of new threats and technologies continues to shape the focus and our priorities of our national defense strategy. For example, the early 1900s advent of the Wright Flyer in Dayton, Ohio, revolutionized warfare and the importance of air power in attaining the high ground advantage. Thus, an independent Air Force was created, and separated from the Department of the Army under the National Security Act of 1947. For the past 75 years, air power has proven that whoever owns the high ground will win its nation's wars. According to General Chance Saltzman, the Chief of Space Operations for the United States Space Force, it is through this lens and evolution of those lessons that the United States Space Force must propose, evaluate, and evolve its own theory of success for contesting the space domain, and ensure the U.S. can continue to enjoy the advantages we have secured from superiority of the ultimate high ground. Space capabilities and services are ubiquitous and have become integral to the American way of life and foundational to our national security and American way of war. It can no longer be treated as a benign environment, safe from militarization. It has become more contested, congested, and competitive than at any other point in history. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake. Space is a war-fighting domain, just like the air, land, sea, and cyberspace. Remember, 75% of the Earth may be covered by water, but it is 100% surrounded by space. Although the fundamental nature of war has not changed, the character of war will continue to evolve throughout the 21st century and beyond. Revolutionary advances in space technology and domain access will continue to increase the speed, range, lethality, and complexity of war, and bolster our capability and capacity for global power projection at any time, in any domain, and with any manner of our choosing. However, our national security constructs must continue to evolve or be outpaced by emerging threats posed by our near-peer competitors. Revisionist powers such as China, who is our pacing challenge, and Russia, who is our acute threat, seek to undermine our ability to project power. They have the will and have demonstrated the capability to hold our national security space assets, our satellites, at risk. The Secretary of the Air Force, Frank Kendall, asserts that we are not currently optimized for great power competition. This is because of our prolonged support of post-9/11 conflicts. The nation must shift its focus and efforts for great power and strategic competition. China is dramatically expanding its nuclear force and military space capabilities, and it is intent on fielding a force that can conduct aggression in the Western Pacific and prevail, even if the United States intervenes. Space is the apex warfighting domain. It provides our military satellite communications, position, navigation, and timing, also known as GPS, missile warning, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. It provides those capabilities to all domains. Space is key to our ability to deter in competition, de-escalate in crisis, and defeat in conflict. However, we cannot detain, and deter by standing still. As such, under the Trump administration, the United States Space Force was established as a new military branch under the Department of the Air Force on the 20th of December, 2019. It is our newest military branch in 73 years. Its mission is to secure our nation's interests in, from, and to space. As a new service, controlling the space domain requires domain-centric doctrine, force elements, tactics, systems, intelligence, command and control, training, and members with a deep understanding of military space operations. The Space Force is small, but a formidable force, with the expertise from a variety of military backgrounds to help maintain our space superiority. This merging of people from different services with diverse backgrounds and experiences enhances our ability to understand and deliver systems to meet our national security needs within relevant timelines. You may be questioning the need for a separate Space Force, since the military has been successfully using space capabilities for decades under their respective branches of service. However, and listen to me here, each military service is first and foremost organized to contest and control a specific domain. For example, the Army and Navy own the domains of land and sea, respectively. The Air Force has the people, expertise, and equipment to control the air. Similarly, the Space Force will control the space domain, the ultimate high ground. As such, the Space Force will need the people and capabilities to maintain our nation's strategic advantage, to assure our competitive endurance. Without a doubt, our use of space makes us more effective, but our adversaries are watching, and they've acknowledged the U.S. reliance on space. This means our national security space assets, those satellites that provide that critical warfighting capability, have become targets. It is important to keep in mind that our current space architecture was designed when space was not a contested environment. Therefore, many of our assets are not optimized for the future of warfare. Now, my previous boss, Honorable Frank Calvelli, the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Space Acquisition and Integration, has set forth 3 top priorities to answer the changing realities of space. The first of these priorities is increase the speed in with which we deliver the capabilities to our warfighters to ensure we are outpacing emerging threats and maintaining the technological advantage we gain from space. We will leverage commercial technology instead of developing our own mission-unique systems. This new way of doing business reduces the cost and time required to deliver critical warfighting capability. The second priority is to make our systems more resilient. Instead of purchasing large satellites that wind up becoming a single point of failure or success, we are shifting to smaller satellites with segregated capabilities, proliferating those satellites in different orbits. You kind of think of our operations in different orbits as at different altitudes within the air domain. This is to ensure that these systems can be counted on during times of crisis. The final priority is integrating our space capabilities with other warfighting domains. The nation needs to integrate space architectures with other warfighting domains to give its warfighters a strategic edge. Making space systems fully integrated and seamless to use by warfighters provides a measurable benefit for executing our global mission. The Space Force has accomplished a great deal in its first 4 years. But still, there's more work to do. The Secretary of the Air Force posed a question for every airman and Guardian to consider. And I asked everyone here to kind of think along the same question that Secretary Kendall asked. If asked to go to war today against a near-peer competitor, are we as ready as we could be? What can be changed in each of our units and organizations to be more ready? The Chief of Space Operations tasked the Space Force with 2 initiatives to get after that very question, aimed at a purpose-built service. The first creates unity of command for readiness by consolidating operational activities. We're prototyping an integrated mission delta. Now our deltas are like Air Force wings. This concept in the Space Operations Command merges mission generation, intelligence, cyber defense, and sustainment, all within one organization. That organization will own its mission cradle to grave. It's disaggregated right now. The second initiative further strengthens unity of effort for capability development by prototyping a system delta at Space Systems Command, where I work, which more closely ties operational needs into the development, acquisition, and fielding process to ensure we move capabilities into operations faster with full user engagement. Now, you may have heard the saying that the only thing constant is change. As time passes, the technology we rely on will continue to evolve, and our Space Force will continue to adapt. We must be ready to answer our nation's call wherever and whenever needed. So I see a lot of junior faces in the audience, junior ROTC. Girl Scouts of America, Boy Scouts of America, to be able to answer our nation's call wherever and whenever needed. We need foundational educational opportunities that focus on science, technology, engineering, and math. Space Force Guardians have a space-centric warfighting mindset. We stand at the ready, deployed in place, and all over the world to secure our nation's interests in, from, and to space. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The sun never sets on the United States Space Force. So, with that, thank you again for your service and sacrifice. Thank you to the city of Gardena and the veterans of foreign wars, post 3261 and 1961, the Nisei post. It has been my true honor and privilege to speak with you today. Thank you.
Hold. Half left. Base. 3 rounds, blank ammunition, locked and loaded. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Reset. Arm.